Hello guys, welcome to Knowledge India. Please let me know if you are able to hear me properly. Those of you who are there, I would request you to kindly type in the chat window so that we are aware. So Tarun, Shaktivel, hi guys. We'll give it 2-3 minutes and then we'll get started. Okay. Okay. Is it audible clearly, guys? Hello, hi Avinash. Hello Nandish. If I'm right, you are joining for first time, or have you joined earlier as well? Hello, good evening. I remember correctly, if it is, that's Vasu. Okay, so we'll get started in one more minute. It is 9:35 here. We'll give one more minute and then we'll get started. Yeah. So Nandesh, how did you get to know about this channel or live session? Arun. Hi Arun, are you joining for the first time? Those who are joining us for the first time, can you please let me know that how did you know about the channel or this live session? Okay, thank you, Bikram. Thanks for informing. All right, so it's time we'll get started. So as you people would have seen in the agenda that uh, I had talked that we'll be talking about few aspects of VPC. I'm seeing many people have been asking few doubts, so I'll try to answer those things and try to explain that. Hey, hi Stephen, welcome. Okay, and then I'll also try to talk about few aspects related to EC2, auto scaling, and then few more things which you can see on the screen. So let us get started. So first of all, many people have asked this at multiple places within the comments or in one-to-one messages, that what is Bastion host? Please explain about Bastion host or Jumpbox. Guys, it is a very simple stuff. It is nothing but a small dummy machine which you use in order to log in to your private instances, right? So what I'm trying to tell here is, let's say you have got two subnets, right? Let's say subnet 1, which is a public subnet, and then you have a subnet 2, which is your private subnet, right? Now if in the private subnet, let's say you have set up an EC2 instance where you have installed a DB, let's say Oracle. Okay, so you are managing it, right? Now if you want to log into this, if you want to reach this machine, and you want to probably change something at the OS level or at the Oracle level, for which you need to log in at OS level, you need to do the login to this particular machine. How will you do that? Now this particular machine only has got private IP, because it is there in the private subnet. It will have private IP also. I mean, ideally, if you are keeping something in private subnet, you should not give it public IP, though it is it is not it's not forced. It is in your hands how you architect it. But the idea is, if you're keeping an instance in private subnet, you should not be giving it public IP ideally. So this particular Oracle server has only private IP, right? Which means from outside the world, outside meaning, let's say from my laptop, if I want to log into this particular EC2 machine, let's say it is a Linux machine, if I want to log into this particular machine, I want to do SSH, I won't be able to do that, because this machine only has got private IP. So what we do in such cases, in the public subnet, we go ahead and launch a small machine called Bastion host. Bastion host is nothing but a small Windows or Linux instance. It is of your choice. You can launch it Windows or Linux. It is just any other Windows or Linux machine, a small size. And what you do is, you then give it a public IP. Okay, and you allow access, or you allow incoming connection on this machine from everywhere, right? So let's say, if from my laptop, if from this particular machine, if I mean from my laptop, I can first log into my Bastion host. Let's say if it is a Linux machine, I can do SSH via putty. And once I have logged in to this particular machine, I have basically entered the VPC. And once I have entered the VPC, then I can go ahead, and then from there I can connect to this particular machine, right? Because this Bastion host, though I have given it a public IP, every machine will have private IP for sure. That I think you should be knowing. If you don't know that yet, guys, you need to look at the video where I've explained about different types of IP addresses. That video is there on the channel. Please see that. Also, there is a tutorial where I've explained about public and private subnets. I have launched instances in both, and then I have first logged into the public subnet, and then from there, I first logged into the public machine, and then from there I have connected the private machine. I have shown this in a demo clearly. So please, okay, yeah, thanks Nandish, I understood. Rishabh, so I'm talking about what you have asked. So please look at those two tutorials, and then it should be clear. Okay, so those of you who ever had doubt that what is a Bastion host, it is nothing but a small machine which you launch in the public subnet, and you first connect to that machine, and then from there you can communicate to any instance within the VPC, any instance, because within a VPC all machines can talk to each other using the private network, right? All the machines can talk to each other using private network, unless until you forcibly go ahead and restrict that. Okay, all right, so let us with that I will come to point number 4. I will, because it is related. Let's say many times people ask this question. So I, within a VPC, I have an instance in subnet 1 and another instance 2 in subnet 2. Whether these two instances can talk to each other? Yes, they can talk to each other, provided you allow the port on which you want the communication to happen in the security group. Because if you remember, if you have seen my previous videos where I've explained about security group in detail, you know that security groups are implemented as closed, right? By default, when you create a new security group, it is not going to have any incoming connection. All the incoming connection, there won't be any incoming connection at all. That means no connection or no traffic can come to that particular machine. So on whatever port you want to allow the traffic, you need to open those ports, right? So that's point number one. So if you have allowed on the security group level and at the network ACL level, then these two machines can talk to each other, right? Meaning ability is there to communicate, but of course you will have to allow that as well, right? And it is important to understand that within a VPC, all the machines should ideally talk over private IP only, right? Though if there are two machines and both of them have got public IP, you can do the communication over public IP as well. But when you are when you they, it is like this. If you have two machines within your office, right, you would communicate between them using their private IP address. You need not go to the public IP address and route the whole traffic via internet, right? That's why you should try and use private IP between instances within a VPC. Okay. So guys, whatever I talk now, are you guys clear on this, or you have any doubts related to this particular thing? If so, you can ask me that. I'll take a pause for 30 seconds. All right. Thanks, Arun, for replying. Okay. All right. Thanks, Vikram. Now, next concept or next aspect which we want to, okay. Rishabh is asking how to record SSH sessions established through a Bastion host. So, Rishabh, what we can do is within your VPC, there is a concept of VPC Flow Logs. So you can go ahead and enable VPC Flow Logs at your VPC level. And once you do that, all the network traffic which is going through any instance, not only your Bastion host, which is going through any instance, will get logged. It will record that from which IP the traffic was, like what was the source, what was the destination IP, at what time the connection happened, on what port it happened, whether it was successful or it was denied. It records all of that, and it basically writes these logs to the S3 bucket, whichever you specify, and from there you can pick up these logs and you can use for any purpose you want. So the concept for that is VPC Flow Logs. Okay. All right. Okay, fine. We'll move to the next concept, which is the scale-in policies. Now, this is something which I wanted to talk. I hope all of you would have already looked at the tutorial on the auto scaling, where I've explained that how do you create a launch configuration. After that, how do you create an auto scaling group, and how to specify min, max, desired, etc. Right now. I've also talked there about the warm up period, right? So what is warm up period? Just to revise once again, warm up period is the time which you specify with your scale out policy. Scale out policy is the condition which you specify and say that when this particular condition is fulfilled, add an instance or increase the number of instances. For example, if CPU utilization is going more than 80%, then I want to add 2 instances. So this is your scale out policy. So along with this, you will also specify that how much would be the warm up period of your instances. Warm up period is basically the time which your instances take before they become usable, right? And why does it happen? Because you would have seen whenever you launch an EC2 instance, from the time it is launched from the time it is launched to the point in time when it is actually running, and basically at OS level everything is up and all the services are up and running, it takes some time, right? So that's why we specify the warm up period. Please look at the auto scaling video and understand in detail the various aspects if you have not done that already. Now here I want to talk to you something about scale in. So before we go there, we have also discussed that based on the principle of high availability, you should spread your infrastructure minimum in 2 availability zones. So let's say you have created an auto scaling group, and while creating the auto scaling group, you get an option to specify multiple subnets, right? And ideally, you should choose 2 subnets which are there in 2 different availability zones. Okay. So once you have done that, auto scaling group is smart enough. It is smart enough to try and launch instances in both the subnets which are there in 2 different availability zones, and it will also try to balance it, which means it will try to keep equal number of instances in both the subnet. That it will do automatically. So let's take an example. Let's say you have specified minimum equals to 4 and maximum equals to 12, okay, in your auto scaling group. So as soon as your auto scaling group gets created, 4 instances would be launched, and two instances would be distributed in both the subnets. Then moving forward, let's say a scale out action happens. The CPU load has increased, and you have defined a policy that if CPU utilization is more than 80%, add 2 instances, right? So in such a case, auto scaling group will launch 2 more instances. That means 4 will become 6, and the 2 instances which are launched, they will be distributed evenly between the 2 subnets, which means first there were 2, now it will become 3, right, in both the subnets. Simple enough, right? So this is the scale out. Now coming to the concept of scale in, let's say you have also defined a scale in condition saying that if CPU utilization is less than 40% for 20 minutes, remove 1 instance. Okay, this is what you have defined. So if CPU utilization is low, you don't want unnecessary instances to keep running and waste your money, hence you want to remove an instance. But in this case, you are saying remove 1 instance. Now the point is, let's say currently we have 3, totally 6 instances. Which instance will go out of these 6? How does this selection happen? That is something important, and we should know how this selection happens. Okay, so let me open that so that I can show you. So there's something called termination policy. So let me just show you this so that you understand that which one would go away. Just one sec. Same one. So, okay, here is the stuff. You see these things? There are 4 types available, and I'll go ahead and explain you all of these. So first thing, let's say we have 3 instances. First of all, what auto scaling group does is it will try to select the subnet which has maximum number of instances. So there might be some scenario when in subnet 1 we have 4, in subnet 2 we have 3 instances. In that case, subnet 1 will be chosen. If there are equal number of instances in both the subnets, then any subnet can be chosen, right? It is just random. Now, within that subnet, let's say in our case, subnet 1 is chosen. Now, with subnet 1, we have got 3 instances, and which instance gets terminated will be, would be decided based on the termination policy which has been set up by you. Now, let's see what are the different termination policies available. The first termination policy is oldest instance. So out of the 3 instances, whichever is the oldest instance, whichever was launched first, that instance will be terminated if you have specified this termination policy. Second is newest instance, which means out of the 3, whichever is the newest, whichever is launched most recently, that one would be terminated. Next is oldest launch configuration. What is oldest launch configuration? If you remember, with auto scaling group, you pass the value of launch configuration. Launch configuration is nothing but collection of all the values which auto scaling group uses to launch your EC2 instance. For example, what AMI ID to be used, what instance type to be used, what security group to be used, what key pair to be used, and all of such things, right? So you specify all of that in launch configuration, and you pass that launch configuration ID in your auto scaling group. Now, in case if you want, after some time, you can even go ahead and change the launch configuration. For example, to start with, let's say you created an auto scaling group today, and today you had given launch configuration 1, in which AMI used was AMI 1. After some time, you have updated your software, right? And then you can go ahead and you want to make sure that your newly updated software or recently applied patched should come in the new instances. So what you can do is you can create a new AMI, let's call it AMI 2, and we create a new launch configuration, let's call it config 2, right? And config 2 is using AMI 2, and what you do is go ahead and just update the new launch configuration ID into your auto scaling group. It is very simple. When you are doing the practical, just in your auto scaling group, you have edit option. Go ahead, press on edit, and you can go ahead and change the launch configuration ID. So once you have changed the launch configuration ID, any new instance which would be launched from that point in time, from that point of time, that instance will use the newer launch configuration ID. So it might happen that there are 2 instances which are there with AMI 1, and there is one new instance which is there with AMI 2, right? It's possible. In such cases, and in case you have specified this particular termination policy which says oldest launch configuration, what it would do is it would choose the instance which has older launch configuration, or basically the oldest launch configuration. So the newer instances or instances which have your latest version of software running, they will remain there and the older one will go away. Next type is, or next termination policy is closest to next instance R. This is related to billing, right? If you remember, I've talked in detail about billing earlier. If you have not understood that, I request you please look at the tutorials where I've explained you EC2 pricing. There are different types of pricing and how the whole pricing works. I've explained it in within 15 minutes in very detail, so please look at it. I've also talked about various cost optimization aspects in one of the live sessions, so you can watch that as well. Now, let me ask a question. If you have an instance which was launched sometime at 4:20, right, 4:20 p.m. for example, and you have another instance which was sometime launched at 2:10 p.m. again. Now, or it can be even 2:10 a.m., doesn't matter, and it can be on different days, that also doesn't matter. Now the point is, at current time it is 7:15 when a scale in action has to happen, and if auto scaling group has to choose between these 2 instances, which one would be more economical to choose? I want you people to answer here. I'll repeat the question once again. Auto scaling group has to choose between 2 instances. One of that instance 1 was launched at 2:10 sometime, and another instance 2 was launched at 4:20 sometime. Currently the time is 7:15, and auto scaling group has to decide between these 2 instances which one would be more economical to terminate. I'll wait for your replies. So Vasu has answered the one which was launched at 420. Tarun, you should reply which one would go away. So Rishabh is saying the one which is really near to 4. Vikram is saying the one which is near to 210. Avinash is also saying 210. Stephen is saying not sure. Okay, so let me explain this to you guys, right? So if you see an instance which is launched at 210, for that instance, the billing cycle would be like 210 to 310, and then 310 to you know, like 210 to 310, 310 to 410, like that, right? Basically every X10, your 1 hour will, 1 hour will be complete and you will be charged for that, correct? Whereas the one uh, which is like 420, it's like 420 to 520, 520 to 620, right? Just like that. Now I said that current time is 7:15, right? So if you consider both the instances, the first instance which is the 210 one, right? So in case of 210, at 7:10 its new hour has started, so that means you have been charged for, this next hour. If you terminate it now also, you will end up paying for that hour, right? So it's better, let's use it fully. Whereas the one which is 420, right, for that the billing hour is about to get completed because it is 7:15. So at 7:20 its billing hour will get completed. So basically you have already used 55 minutes and it is only 5 minutes which would go away. So that's the term here. If you see, what it says is closest to next instance hour, the instance for which the hour is about to get completed, right? That instance gets terminated because you would have used the maximum for which you are paying, right? That's why I took this example and tried to explain you. So the instance which was launched at 420, that instance gets terminated. And it doesn't matter that whether 420 was launched recently or the 210 one was launched recently. They could be launched on different dates. Any date doesn't matter because understand the billing is per hour, right? Billing is per hour. Ankaj, no, don't say 4 p.m. It doesn't work that way. Uh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, what you're answering is right, but don't say 4 p.m. Understand, billing always happens from the time you start the instance. From that time, the billing cycle starts. Okay. It's So just to clarify to all of you, if you have launched an instance at 420, the billing cycles are 420 to 520, 520 to 620, like that. Don't think that it is 4 to 5, 5 to 6. No, not like that. Though in the Excel file, the way it is shown is like 420 to 520 will be shown as 4 to 5, right? That's the way of representing it. But you should know that your billing cycle starts when your instance starts. I'll take a pause here and uh, I'll ask whether you guys understood this or not. And those of you who have not looked at the pricing and the billing related videos, please look at it, guys. It's really, really important. Rishabh, as I said, there are two ways to patch. One, as I said, you can go ahead and create a new launch configuration with a new AMI ID, update the launch configuration, and then terminate the older instances. Auto scaling group will automatically launch new instances, and it will, in order to, keep the fleet in shape, it will launch new instances, and your new instances will have the newer version of the software. If you don't want to terminate instances, rather you want to apply the patch on all the instances, then you should probably use some configuration management tool which should be installed on all the machines, maybe like Chef, or you can use EC2 run command as well, and with that you can apply the patch. Those are the two ways. If you have not looked at the auto scaling group video, I request you to please look at it as well, guys. So please let me know if you are clear with this pricing thing which we talked. Okay, thank you, Avinash. I'll wait for a few seconds and then we'll move forward. Okay. If I may request you guys to share the video URL on your social networks, please. Can you do that? How many of you are there on LinkedIn? Can I request you to add me? Because I don't have your email ID, and that's the that's why I'm not able to search. But if you search for Knowledge India, you will be able to find me on LinkedIn. I can even type it here. It is just type whatever is there in LinkedIn, and then okay, just let me show it here. Let's do this. LinkedIn pledge. Right. So here is the link. Let me just ping this to you people. I would request you to add me, and if you can write something, it would be even great. There seems to be a problem. What is that? Okay, I think it finds this, and I'll just send it. Hello. Not sure, guys, why it doesn't allow me, but it is just this link. Okay. Please add me on LinkedIn, and if you are finding the videos good, helpful, then please write me there. You can either tag me and write something, or you can write a testimonial. I would request if you can tag and write, it would be great. That what did you learn from this video? Okay. Vinod is asking, I'm new to the session. I've already subscribed to your video list, but I've not received this live chat notification earlier. Okay, so Vinod, the way it works is currently when we create a live event on YouTube, YouTube doesn't send notification to everybody. Now that's a feature which is not there. In order to solve that, what I've done is I've requested all of you to add my Google Calendar to yours. Okay, and I've explained it in detail in my blog. So if you have not, this is something which I tell in every session, but I'll just tell that once again because that's worth. So if you just go here, if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find the link for the blog. I request you to kindly subscribe to this blog. Also, in this blog, I've explained how to get notified of all the live events which are happening. Look at this blog. I've explained this. I'll ping this URL to all of you here so that you can go ahead and subscribe to the blog. And also on the right hand side, you'll be able to see all these details of the upcoming live events. I've also explained how can you add it to your Google Calendar on this page itself. So if you see here, I've explained it here. So please read through this and add it to your calendar, and then you will be informed of everything. Many of you are there on the have subscribed to the blog, but you never verified your email, and hence you would not get emails. So please do that, guys. If you have not done, please do that. Okay, thanks, Bikram. Vinod Kumar, instead I have received this at 9:33 p.m. Yeah, that's a notification which goes when I start the live session. Today I started it 2-3 minutes late. Whenever I start the notification, that would go to everybody who has subscribed to my YouTube channel. But the problem is that goes only when I start the session. So the best thing is, guys, the best thing is that you go ahead and add my calendar to yours, and in your Google Calendar on your mobile device, you'll be able to see the details of the right. It will be there on your calendar, and you don't have to add it a number of times. You just add it one time. The process is explained on this URL, so you can just open this URL and subscribe to the blog and add the calendar, guys. Please do that. And I'm hoping to hear from you guys on LinkedIn that how are you finding the session. Please do that. That helps. Oh, it's Knowledge India. That's the pen name, Knowledge India. And if you are searching on LinkedIn, just don't keep any space. Just write it as Knowledge India, and you'll get it. Uh, the yeah. All right. Moving on to next. You can also Google it. Uh, Next thing which we want to talk, we talked about communication within a VPC. So I think that part is clear. One more aspect. So one of the participants or viewers had asked this question, that they have a requirement that within a VPC they have different subnets, and they want to restrict the traffic from one particular subnet to the other subnet. And that is their requirement. Right now, I'm not saying that you need to do this really, but that's the requirement. So how to do that? Within a VPC, they want, let's say there are 4 subnets, they somehow want that subnet from subnet 1, there should not be any traffic going to subnet 3. So the way to solve that, guys, is that you should have different network ACLs for all the subnet. And what you should do is for the subnet 3, the network ACL which you have, in that particular network ACL, you can add a deny rule for the subnet 1, right? Every subnet has got a CIDR range. So you pick up the CIDR block, which is there for your subnet 1. And for that CIDR block, you can add a deny rule in the network ACL of subnet 3. If you are not clear that how to add rules for network ACL, there is a tutorial on the channel where I've shown it with a demo properly, doing it, adding the rules, removing the rules. So please go ahead and see how can you add a allow or deny rule in network ACL, right? So please follow that, and with that you can do that. Let me see a few other things. Instead, I've received this. You can sync his Google Calendar to yours. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Chitranjali. So please read I've explained the process on this page, guys, on the blog. Please follow that. Thanks all those who have sent the request. I hope I'll add you, and then you can tag me to any post which you are writing on LinkedIn. Thank you. So I'll take pause here. These were few things which I wanted to talk quickly, because I've seen even after somehow these things were occurring again and again. So I wanted to talk to you people about these things. The aspect which I talked to you related to scale-in policies and auto-scaling group, guys, that is very important. You can surely expect 2 to 3 questions related to these scale out and scale in aspects in your certification exam. So please keep that in mind, and it should be good. Are these subnets in different AZs? Avinash, it doesn't matter. So even if they are there in the same AZ, or they are there in different availability zones, the way we talked about network ACL, that just works the same way, right? So if you, irrespective of whether they are there in the same subnet or same availability zone or in different availability zones, you can go ahead and restrict or allow the traffic with the help of network ACLs. So normally when you create a VPC, same network ACL is applied to all the subnets. But if you want to do such type of things, restrictions and all, you can go ahead and have different network ACLs for your different subnets. It is perfectly possible. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You can go ahead and do that. How to do that, I've explained it already in the network ACL video. So please look at that, guys. So here I'll take pause, and I will be open to take any questions from you guys. Arun, auto scaling feature doesn't work for RDS. Auto scaling is there for EC2 instances. How to set up auto scaling and define the conditions, there is a detailed tutorial on that. Please look at it. I have already posted it on the channel, so you can see that and understand. In case of RDS, you can only do scale up and scale down, and that is not auto. Rather, you'll have to stop the instance and you'll have to change the instance type and then start the instance again. Whereas in case of EC2 instances, where you are running your web tier or app tier, you can set up auto scaling group, and auto scaling group can add or remove instances based on the conditions you have defined, which is scale out and scale in. Okay, thank you, Avinash. Tarun is saying how to properly delete already created VPC. I'm getting so many errors by deleting, as I've created VPC with subnets for your VPC case study example. Okay, the only reason why you might not be able to delete a VPC would be if there are any billing, any resource launched within that VPC which cause billing. For example, if there is any EC2 instance which is launched within that, that might create an issue, right? So what I would request you is that first try to terminate all the EC2 instances, and after that, ideally you should be able to just delete the VPC. When you delete a VPC, the network ACLs, route tables, subnets which are part of that, they will get deleted automatically. But EC2 instances, RDS, these things you have to take care and delete manually, right? So you should terminate them first manually, and then you can go ahead and delete your VPC. It will work through. Nandesh is asking, can we have a session on how to create a proxy? So if you are see, in case of AWS, if you want to there are two things, right? Forward proxy and reverse proxy. So if it is forward proxy, basically ability for your instances to communicate to the ability for your private instances to communicate to internet. For that, there is NAT gateway. I've already explained it in the VPC tutorial that how you can use NAT gateway. In case of reverse proxy, which is given by your ELBs, so your instances, which are your private instances, are serving the website. They don't have public IP, even then they are able to serve website. That is because of the reverse proxy concept, and where that is done by your ELB. So that also I've explained in a tutorial, that how to set up ELB in detail. There's also a tutorial which talks about differences between NAT and ELB. Many people are often confused between NAT and ELB. So I request all of those guys, please look at that video, these 3 videos, and you will be clear. So that should help you, Nandish. Arun is asking vertical scale in. Vertical scale in. So you mean to say reducing the size of the instance. So in case of RDS also, if you want to do, okay, I'm sorry, you mixed two things. See, understand that scale in and scale out are there in case of horizontal scaling, which means adding or removing the instances. Okay. In case of vertical scaling, the terminology is scale up and scale down. Scale up means adding the instance, and scale down means removing the scale up means adding the resources on an instance, and scale down means removing the resources from an instance. So in case of RDS, it is only scale up and scale down, and you have to do it manually. Whereas in case of EC2 instances, auto scaling group can do scale out and scale in, which is horizontal scaling for you automatically. So please look at the RDS related video. There's an RDS related video, and there's an auto scaling video, both as well. So that should help you. Okay, hi Rakesh. Next is Vasu is asking, request you please prepare a practical video for Route 53 explaining all policies if possible. Okay, I'll try to do that. I'll take that. I'll try to do that. But let's see how much I'm able to do. Route 53 now supports both IPv6, both this and PTR. Ankaj, I'll have to check that if they have started doing that. But I think the answer is yes, but I'll have to verify. You can also verify. What exactly VPC endpoint does? So VPC endpoint is a mechanism through which certain services which are not part of VPC, right, can be accessible, become accessible from a VPC. So let me take an example. If you have an S3 bucket, S3 buckets are not within a VPC, right? So if you, whenever you want to hit an S3 bucket, you basically go to the internet, and via internet you hit its endpoint and you do either put object, get object, or whatever you want to do, you do that. But the traffic goes via internet, right, to its endpoint. Now sometimes people had this request to AWS that we are running our solution in private instance that we are running our solution in private instances, and from private instances, whenever we have to hit S3, unnecessarily we are going via internet. We want a mechanism that we should be able to reach S3 internally. So after that, AWS launched the concept of VPC endpoint. So what you do is, when you create a VPC endpoint for an S3 bucket and you add its route to the route table, then the instances which are there in that particular subnet where you added this particular route, all those instances will be able to reach that S3 without going to internet, which means you can have a VPC and you can have, let's say, two instances in private subnet. You need not put NAT gateway as well, and still you would be able to access or hit S3 because you have created a VPC endpoint. Okay. uh, I'm not sure, but I think there is a tutorial on this. I can search, but this is what VPC endpoint is. It's very simple. You can try it out. So there are a few people. Rakesh M is saying is new. Bharat is saying is new. Where can I start? Guys, if you are new, I would request you, please get started with our SysOps playlist. If you go to our YouTube channel, you have a playlist section. In that, there's a playlist for AWS SysOps track. Get started with that, and we start from from real basic, and that should help you. I would also request you that please subscribe to the blog, and there are few really good posts on these blog on this blog. You can see here the link for the blog is given. There is a blog which talks to you very systematically about EC2. There's a blog there's a post which talks to you very systematically about VPC and all of that, all of those aspects. So please follow that, and that should help you. Can we SSH to private subnet instances without Bastion host? From outside, no, Pankaj, you cannot, because uh, your private instances in private subnet would not have direct connectivity to the internet at all. So you cannot. All right. So guys, is it understandable? Are you able to follow what we are talking? Stephen, are you finding it okay? Are you clear with whatever we have talked? So I'm seeing Chitranjali, Vinod, Tarun, Arun. Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right, Arun. The VPC endpoints would work for resources within the same region. Thanks for reminding that. You cannot create a VPC endpoint for an S3 bucket which is there in a different region. So the VPC and the S3 both should be there in the same region. That's important. Yeah. So Rangesh is saying, I installed WordPress and it required database. Though I used RDS, I was saving all the data in EBS and S3. What is need for database if we are saving the metadata in DB? Okay, so let me tell you this. Because you have asked in relation to WordPress, the way WordPress works is WordPress actually maintains a database in MySQL, and there it keeps everything. So whatever you see that, okay, this many posts are there, this is the author who has written this post at this time, all that information gets stored in that MySQL database. That's why that MySQL is required. Okay, so that's the answer. If it is not clear, please elaborate and ask again. Rakesh M is saying, I'm Java developer and I'm new to AWS. How it's helpful for me and in AWS what I need to learn. So Rakesh, as I said, these are not one-liner questions which I can answer. That's why I've made detailed tutorials for this. And if you go ahead and look at those tutorials, I've answered these questions. So if you are a Java developer, you can take the developer track, right? You can take the developer track, and for the developer track, if you want to understand the syllabus for that, the syllabus is explained in a video, and you can get started with those topics first, right? I know many of you have requested. I have not been able to do yet, time crunch, but I will also create two separate playlists for architect and developer tracks, and that would make things a lot more easier for you. But till then, if you look at the video where I've explained the syllabus for all the three tracks, you can go ahead and get started from there. So Tarun is saying, suppose if I give auto scaling for CPU utilization greater than 70% after new instance start, then how auto scaling will consider CPU utilization? Is it check new instance CPU usage, or Tarun, have you looked at the auto scaling video already? If no, please look at it. But I will answer this question here. The CPU utilization is always the average CPU utilization of all the instances which are there, right, in the auto scaling group. And the way it works is, once the instance is launched, after the launch, once its warm up period is over, then only that instance CPU utilization will be considered in the overall average CPU utilization. Okay, so let's say an instance is launched at 11 a.m. and we have given warm up period as 3 minutes. So only at 11:03 its CPU utilization also will be, would be added to the average CPU utilization. In those 3 minutes, it would not be added. How private instance and will communicate? Nandesh, I answered you that they'll communicate over their private IP addresses. Stephen is saying, okay, yes, this is great, thank you. Rangesh is saying, can't be saved in EBS or S3. No, WordPress, the way they have written, Rangesh, is that they save all the complete metadata in a database, which is MySQL. So that's how WordPress developers have written that, and hence you need a database for sure. Right? I mean, you can very well write a simple, a simple static website where we can keep things just in S3 or EBS, and that would work. But the way WordPress has been developed, they need a database. Okay, I want to try Elastic Beanstalk. Can I get some sample application which works with RDS for checking? You'll have to Google, Arun. I don't know if I have that handy. But you can try and Google that. I'm sure you should, or you can just write a simple application yourself if you are a developer, or I'm sure you can get the sample application on Google. Rakesh, thank you guys. So we are nearing to the end actually. So if you have more questions, please try to ask quickly. In the meanwhile, I have request to all of you that the only way I would be able to continue doing these live sessions and these videos is if I'm getting enough traction. So guys, I would request all of you that if you like it or if you feel benefited, then please go ahead and share the videos. And also have session on bucket policy and IAM policy. It is already there, Nandish. So I would request that please look at all the videos which are there. I've done a session. I've done a video on bucket policy, IAM policy, some amount of CLI. All of that is there. Okay. So I request you to kindly tag and spread the word, and with that I should be able to do it more. I'm also thinking to to create complete sessions as packages, and to publish it on some platform. If once I do that, or if I'm able to do that, I will let all of you know. In addition to that, if there is a prospect of classroom training in your organizations, and if they are looking for some real good practical training, then you may let me know. My email ID is there, knowledgeindia.in@gmail.com. So you can write there, but only if they are looking for real good training, then we can surely get engaged. What does burst mode means with the volume type we choose? For example, they have a baseline of 3 IOPS and they can burst up to 3000 IOPS too. How does it happen? So this is in case, Rangesh, this is in case of general purpose SSD. So the way general purpose SSDs work is they continue to accumulate credits, which is at the rate of 3 IOPS per second, basically. So 3 input output operations per second. So this continuously, keeps getting accumulated. It's not necessary that all the time that many operations are happening per second, right? So whatever is not used, that will keep getting accumulated. And when requirement comes that that basically a lot of input output operations have to happen continuously, then it basically goes into burst mode. So whatever it has accumulated, it uses that to do input output operations very fast per second, and that speed, or that operations input output operations per second, can go maximum up to 3000 IOPS. That's what it is saying. If you need even more, if you need very high IOPS, then you go for SSD. Then you go for provisioned IOPS SSD, basically. Rakesh, the timing would always be updated on this link. You have to subscribe to this blog, and on the right hand side, in the calendar, you will get to know the timing for the live sessions. I've also explained on this page. Okay, I've also explained on this page that how you can add it to your Google Calendar so that you are updated automatically that when is the live session, when is the next live session happening. So you can go ahead and please do follow that process. All of those who are new, if you want to be informed of the live session, please please go ahead and open this page which I typed now and add it to your Google Calendar. Pankaj, how do architects create AWS infra through management GUI or through CLI and CloudFormation? Okay, Pankaj, architects, I think, okay, not I think. What happens generally is they would be involved in the designing of the whole solution in the start, and after that they hand it over to the SysOps guys. It is the SysOps guys who actually go ahead and create the complete infrastructure. Now it depends on their maturity, how big it is. If it is a comparatively a one-time activity, they can do through management console as well. If it is doing again and again, then they of course go for CLI and CloudFormation, and that helps and standardizes as well. It is very important for SysOps guys to try and learn some amount of CLI and CloudFormation. Vikram is asking, what will be the course duration for corporate training? For the associate, for all the associate tracks, it is 4 days actually. So 4 days with 8 hours every day. So comes to 4 days every associate course. Stephen, I have signed up for the blog. However, the alerts have shown just as your session begin. Is there a way to get more advanced notice for the live session? Yeah, Stephen, that's what I'm trying to explain. Currently YouTube does not send a notification before. So as I've explained in this particular page, that you can add my Google Calendar to your Google Calendar, right? So as soon as I create the event, it will start showing up in your calendar as well before itself. So you would know before, many hours or many days before itself, you will know about it. Normally we do it every weekend, so it will show up on weekends on your calendar. Okay. Bharat, sir, I want to do my internship on AWS. Please give me your suggestions. You'll have to learn, various AWS stuff before you can ask for internship somewhere. Try to look for some companies in and around where you are, Bharat, and try to apply there. That's how you can do. Okay, so Tarun is saying SysOps Certification Summary and how to pass the same. We are already at 10:34, so I would request you to look at the tutorial where I've explained about, the first tutorial in the SysOps playlist, which talks about the syllabus of SysOps in detail. But a few things about passing this course or passing this particular exam is this is the most practical exam, most practical oriented knowledge, I would say, you need to have in order to pass the SysOps certification. And as you can see the numbers also, out of all the associate certifications, SysOps guys are lesser in number. Now, the number of services which you need to cover in SysOps, they are comparatively less in number, but the questions are gonna be in depth. So, as I was telling you, you need to know about autoscaling. You also need to know about the different termination policies, and questions will come to you where a scenario would be given that this is a VPC, this is how the number of instances are there, this many subnets are there, and now this particular scaling happened. Now let a question says that which instance gets terminated. Unless until you understand that what different termination policies mean, you would not be able to answer those. So it is very important to try and go in depth, and that's why guys, my videos are not targeted just for certification. If you have just certification also, you are not going to be employable. So you should try and learn the concepts, do things practically, and then along with that try to pass the certification, right? So I'm trying to go with that approach. Thank you, Stephen. Rangesh is asking, I installed WordPress and used all the required components. EC2 instance gets hung very frequently, and I get this error message: SSH exchange identification, read connection, reset by peer. This is something related to WordPress. I'm not sure. Rangesh will have to Google that and find out, but this is not exactly related to your AWS exactly. But we can try to Google it, or else we'll see what we can do about it. The email ID is knowledgeindia.in@gmail.com. You can also get the email ID from the channel, right? So this is the channel. If you go to the about section, you will be able to get the email ID here, located here. So all right, good. So with that, guys, I will go ahead and close today's session. Thanks to all of you for your time. I request you to tag me. I will go ahead and accept all the LinkedIn requests which I've received. I hope that you will write something about this session. Share the URL on LinkedIn and tag me if it is good, so that people get to know about it. Okay. Question session via email and start a healthy discussion. Okay, the way I would request is that guys, many of you have asked this thing that you want to remain updated. Now different platforms might not do the great job in the same way. So my request to all of you is that please subscribe and verify to the blog. Okay, when you go to this particular blog, as I showed you here, on the blog on the right hand side, you can see subscription. Put your email ID and subscribe to it, and then an email comes to you. Go ahead and verify that. Once you have done that, I'll be able to see your email, and I can go ahead and add it to a list and send you any updates which you want as well. I can do that. Okay, so please do that. And of course there are no spam. There's not going to be spamming, so don't worry about it. Only the correct things will go to you. All right, thank you, guys. Please look at the URL which I have shared above, and that tells what to do with the calendar. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Please do remember to share the URL and write the testimonial. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.